Hey, Nick Penner here with the Fully Loaded Mortar and Pestle Pharmacy channel, and I'm your friendly neighborhood pharmacist. And today, let's talk about how the healthcare system failed me. I sat for a while as to whether I was going to do this video or not. A couple reasons. For one, it's kind of personal, and it's there can be some backlash from talking about the healthcare system in general, especially in today's climate, right? So I decided to do it because you know what? The truth is the truth, whether we tell it or not. So here we go. So strap in, guys. Story time. Where do I start? Let's start with the personal stuff. So I started having some healthcare issues in my early 30s, right? And this was probably due to a multitude of factors, but let me paint a picture for you. I'm, 31, 32, fresh out of pharmacy school, still fresh-ish. I've been practicing a couple years. I got this new clinical job that I really wanted at a place that I really wanted to work with some people I really wanted to work with. And at the same time, I just got done getting married and having my first kid, my daughter. And it was around this time we started putting her in a daycare, right? And if you got kids and you ever put kids in a daycare, especially at first, you open this cycle of pestilence and plague to your house because the kids, they go to daycare, they pick up germs, they get sick, they come home, you take care of them, you get sick. And so I was just spending a lot of time in urgent cares. And every time I went, I noticed like my blood pressure was kind of high. By the way, a lot of times when you go to these places, when they take your vitals, they don't even tell you what they are. I had to ask every time, like, hey, like, what is my blood pressure right now? So I always wanted to, do a spot check while I'm here. Just a quick pro tip, by the way. So yeah, I noticed it was like, 145 over 96, and creeping into the 150s over 100. I'm like, all right. The first time I'm like, okay, I'm stressed out. This is extraordinary circumstance. My blood pressure may be rising. Okay, I'm sick. The second time I'm like, okay, same thing, same result. The third time I'm like, all right, let me make sure there's nothing going on. Let me double check this. And so I schedule up with my primary care, and yeah, I present to her my concerns. She's like, all right, this is what we'll do. Go get a blood pressure cuff, and let's monitor it for the next 2 weeks to see if your blood pressure is actually high consistently, 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. And so I did that, and my blood pressure never went below 140. Okay, so I'm like, okay, this is what it is. My blood pressure's high. Can I get a calcium channel blocker? Now, keep in mind, my primary care provider does not know that I'm a pharmacist. I'm like, I just want to show up and you do your job, and I'm be your patient, and I'm not going to sit and argue with you about anything. You're the doctor, okay? And she was like, no. And the reason why, and that was fine, right? But the reason why was what was a little disturbing to me. And the reason why, because you're not 40 yet, per the guidelines, right? But even me as a person, I know the guidelines, but I'm just like, okay, but yeah, we know what happens when somebody has a high blood pressure for a very long amount of time. It's damaging my kidneys right now as we speak. It's hardening my arteries right now as we speak. So why can't I get a calcium channel blocker for now as a preventative measure until I figure out the lifestyle changes that I need to make to actually keep a lower baseline blood pressure without medications? Maybe it is hereditary and I'm never going to be off of blood pressure medications. Why can't we start that now and preserve my life? But that wasn't the math. And I'm like, okay. So that's strike number one. So while this is going on, I have a secondary issue that's also going on, which was my back. Okay. Some point along the line while I was holding my daughter, my back, it just felt like it just snapped in half. Mike Tyson style. Okay. And I got a referral from my primary care. Once again, I went back to her for the issue. She gave me enough meds to get through my emergency period and a referral to physical therapy. So now keep in mind, I was a Division II college football player, and I have, I think broken most of my fingers at least once. I've had a dislocated elbow, like all the way out, like hanging, going the other way. And I recovered for those just fine with physical therapy, never had to have surgery. And so I was a big believer in physical therapy. But for this issue, it seemed like I was literally injuring myself in physical therapy. So like the third time that I hurt myself in physical therapy, I was just like, all right, I'm not going back. This is done. I got to find something else. Tried a chiropractor, same thing. There was a couple times I walked out of there feeling worse. I'm just like, all right, man, this isn't it. Like something is wrong. Something is really wrong. And so I'm going through all this. And then one day, of course, all of this stuff is starting to seep into like my work life and my family life. I'm just in general not a happy person, right? So when your body starts to break down, it affects your mental health. And I remember talking to my mentor one day about what was going on. I'm just like, dude, I got to get out of here. I thought it was my job. I thought it was all these other things. I wasn't pointing the finger back at myself. And he was like, man, let me introduce you to this doctor of mine. So I'm like, okay, cool. He was a functional medicine doctor. And my first visit with him was for an hour and a half. Now, just for perspective, for people who may not have said what, an hour and a half with this doctor, and when I say an hour and a half, not an hour and a half at the office, I mean an hour and a half of me and him in a room speaking to one another like human beings. That was more time that I had actually spent with my primary care over all the visits that I had throughout my time with her as her patient. And so I was really impressed with that. And then after that, he's like, okay, we're going to get you some labs. I got your height, weight, blah, 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 blah. Get the labs. Come back and see me. So when I came back and see him, he was like, listen, this is what's going on. I can do this. I can do that. I can prescribe you this. I can prescribe you that. But you're overweight. You're fat. Okay. That was not, obviously nobody wants to hear that, but it was the truth, right? Once again, it's one of those things. It's going to be the truth whether somebody says it or not. And so his focus was, let me help you lose weight. And then we'll revisit all these issues. We'll get you some more lab work and we'll see what this is looking like. So I said, cool. He prescribed me the tirzepatide, the Mounjaro, Zepbound, all the same thing. And so after about 6 months of taking that, I lost 75 pounds. Like that. Now I was also doing other things. Don't let me paint this picture that was just like lickety split easy. I followed the eating guide and I got back into a workout regimen. That's one of those things that's kind of hard to do when you have kids. Just like take that time out to do, some simple workout regimen that you can actually stick to, which is the consistency is the key, right? And lo and behold, I get my vitals and my labs done after that 6-month period, and my blood pressure doesn't go above 120 anymore. My weight, like I said, is down 75 pounds at least, and I have not had a back flare up since. 2 visits, some homework, blood, sweat, and tears. And then I went back to see my primary care provider because this is the health care that my insurance plan actually pays for and covers. And the moment that I knew for sure that the system was broken was when I showed up with, minus 40 kilos without my blood pressure issue. And she had almost nothing to say. She didn't even recognize it. Didn't even remember the issues that I was going through and that we were talking about this thing. Didn't recognize that her own patient lost 40 kilos and completely self-corrected their own health issues. So I said all that to say that if anything of the experience that I just explained is happening to you, you owe it to yourself to seek out a functional medicine doctor, especially if you feel like that the relationship between me and my primary is the same as yours. You owe it to yourself to seek out a functional medicine doctor because they may be able to help you, like for real. As well as if you're kind of thinking, okay, now how do I get a functional medicine doctor? How do I get access to this? It's not as hard as you may think. And I'm going to be doing a video series about functional medicine. So you're going to want to like, subscribe, and keep paying attention to the videos that I have released, because this is not only going to be something that I do for myself personally, but this is where I'm taking my career. Like, I want to be involved in the functional medicine space because it's literally saved my life. And that's why I got into healthcare, is to help people. And I think that's the closest thing to helping people that we have currently in our United States healthcare system. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Do you have a run-in with functional medicine? Are you a functional medicine doctor? Do you, maybe do you have something bad to say about it? I don't know. Let me know. But until the next time, peace out.